to order. Please rise for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is convened in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey. Let the official minutes reflect that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by publishing notice in the Asbury Park Press on Saturday, January 8, 2022. The Press of Atlantic City and the Star Ledger, and also forwarded to the Toms River Times, Toms River Patch, and WOBM News on Monday, January 31st, 2022, and thereafter posting same on the Town Hall Bulletin Board for such notices and filing the same with the Township Clerk pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Township Council on Monday, January 3rd, 2022. The meeting dates have also been posted on the Township webpage. Roll call, please.
Councilman Sekozy.
Here.
Councilman Kopp.
Here.
Councilman Lamb.
Here.
Councilman Quinlisk.
Here.
Councilman Roderick.
Here.
Council Vice President Latano.
Here.
Council President Gagan.
Here.
Item 5 is the minutes for February 9th, 2022 regular meeting.
Move the minutes.
Motion was made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Quinlisk. Council Vice President Latano.
Actually, it was Councilman Cott.
Sorry. Let the record show that it was Councilman Kopp who first approved. Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk.
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy.
Yes.
Councilman Lamb.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Latano.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
There are no resolutions, so we'll move to item 7. Item 7 is an ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing various sections of Chapter 348, Land Use and Development Regulations of the Township Code, regulating decks and establishing fees and notice requirements for general development plans. This is the final reading.
This is the final reading. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this?
Seeing none, close public comment, please. Second.
Motion was made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move the ordinance. Second.
A motion was made by Councilman Kopp, seconded by Council Vice President Latano. Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Council Vice President Latano?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Item 8 is an ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing various sections of Chapter 50, Department of Law Enforcement, to revise certain requirements pertaining to departmental testing and promotions. This is the final reading.
Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this?
Seeing none, I motion to close public comment.
Second.
Motion to close public hearing is made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Quinlisk. All in favor?
Aye. Motion to move the ordinance. Second.
Motion made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Latano.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy.
Yes.
Councilman Lamb.
I just want to make a quick comment. At the last council meeting, the chair made a claim that a no vote on this ordinance illustrates anti-police stance. As a police officer myself, working the midnight shift, I always stand with the rank and file, and I've had a chance to speak with several officers and spent a lot of time reviewing it, and I did listen to the chief's explanation. However, this ordinance adds 10% more weight to subjective wins of the command staff, taking away objective assessments under phases 2 and 3. And in my experience, after 20 years, taking objectivity away from the personnel decisions rather, just creates a popularity contest, and I can't stand with that. I stand with the rank and file, therefore I vote no.
Okay.
Councilman Quinlisk.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for Councilman Lamb's experience as a police officer. I also have a tremendous amount of respect for our chief. He runs one of the finest departments in the state of New Jersey, the finest. So I am going to abstain on this vote.
Council President Gagan?
I also, being retired from Toms River Police Department, reached out to members of the PBA, including the PBA president, to see what their thoughts were on this, as well as the FOP, and they had no input on it. So they support the chief in this, and so do I. I vote yes.
Item 9 is an ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Section 14-6A, Deputy Municipal Clerk of the Township Code to provide for an additional full-time Deputy Municipal Clerk. This is a final reading.
Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this?
Seeing none, close public comment. Second.
Motion to close public comment was made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. All in favor?
Aye.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Kopp, seconded by Council Vice President Latano. Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Council Vice President Latano?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
yes,
Councilman Lamb?
Through the recent reevaluations where taxpayers have received some heavy new estimates, their assessments have gone through the roof. I don't think it's the right time to create a full-time position. I think our current clerk is doing an excellent job. And I think if the need arises in the future, we can make that decision and discuss it. I think this was rushed, and for those reasons, I vote no.
Councilman Quinlisk?
yes,
Councilman Roderick?
Well, this job has always been done with one deputy clerk. I don't see a reason for two. I feel like the administration is wasting taxpayer dollars again to create positions for friends. I vote no.
Council President Gagan?
Certainly, I have to agree with Councilman Lamb that our deputy is doing a fine job, given the circumstances you were put under. However, the ordinance does now have a part-time deputy municipal clerk as well as a full-time. This is elevating the part-time to full-time, and in the past, had you been here any length of time, you would have known that. So I vote yes.
Item 10 is an ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, repealing Section 477-166B of the Township Code to eliminate the parking prohibitions on Country View Drive in the Penny Lane condominium development. This is a final reading.
It's a final reading. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this?
Close public comment.
Second.
Motion to close public comment was made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. All in favor?
Aye.
Move the ordinance.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Councilman Kopp.
A motion was made by Councilman Kopp, seconded by Council Vice President Latano. Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Council Vice President Latano?
I'm sorry, I hesitated on my second because I keep making a motion or a second, and other people are speaking when they vote. So I don't have a chance to rebuttal. That's why I was hoping someone else would make a second, just in case that issue arised. I know on the last one, the assessment has nothing to do with the budget. The budget stays the same regardless of the assessments. We can talk further on that later on. I just want to make that clear.
Thank you.
On this one, I just want to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Sikosi?
I'm going to vote yes because the residents and the home association approached the township on this, so I vote yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
I'm completely unclear as to what it was that Councilman Latano was trying to say, so it wasn't very clear. It was very unclear. Perhaps you can enlighten us. Again, I vote yes.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Item 11 is an ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Section 325-19, bathing and alcoholic beverages, of the Township Code to permit limited sales and consumption of alcoholic beverages on the municipal golf course. This is a final reading.
Final reading. Does any member of the public wish to be heard?
Close public comment.
Second.
Motion to close public comment was made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. All in favor?
Aye. Move the ordinance.
Second.
Motion is made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Latano?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
Yes.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Item 12 is an ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, authorizing the acquisition, either by purchase or eminent domain, of real property known as 1944 Whitesville Road, 133 Riverwood Drive, and 2045 Whitesville Road on the official tax map of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey. This is a first reading.
I have a question for legal counsel before we proceed, if that's okay, Council President.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I'm just curious, why isn't there a price in this ordinance? Should the administration see fit to acquire this property, will it have to come back to council regarding a price? It says that this would authorize eminent domain and/or an free market, open market purchase, but there's no price in there. And I don't even know if we're legally allowed to give the mayor that kind of authority. So I was just wondering if you could shed some light on that. from a
Yes
legal-
and yes, would come back to the council for further action if needed. And it does give the township the authority to pursue this option if it so desires after discussing the matter with the property owner.
Thank you.
Can I piggyback off that too, while we have a moment?
Sure.
Chair? Is there any reason why we have two of our township attorneys here for every meeting? I mean, is that, are we trying to, in all fairness and transparency to taxpayers, are we trying to reduce our costs? I mean, Mr. Merlino works very hard throughout the day. Do we need him at the meeting as well? It's a fair question.
The answer to that question is, at times, yes. It's appropriate to have him here.
Both, you and him?
At times, yes.
Oh, at times, all the time?
Not necessarily.
Okay, just.
At this point,
You're
yeah.
choosing?
At this point, yes, based on issues that are currently on the agenda this evening and were last meeting as well.
Thank you.
You will.
Counselor?
Move the ordinance on first.
Second.
Motion was made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Latano?
Yeah, this ordinance is to help preserve open space. I'm in favor of that. I vote yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
Given that the mayor and the administration will have to come back to council once they settle on a price, I vote yes.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Item 13 is an ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Section 325-3 green fees of Chapter 325 golf courses of the Township Code. This is a first reading.
Council President, I have questions regarding 13 and 14. I think both can be answered by Mr. Amoruso, should he so indulge, if that's okay with you.
And your question is, Jared's also here in the audience. He might be able to answer questions.
Well, I'd rather direct it to the administrator.
Okay.
I was just curious as to whether or not we were raising fees at the golf course and at the ice rink. We have a list again, just like last year, of what the new fees will be without any listing of what the fees were. So are we raising fees in these two ordinances? And if so, are we raising them on residents?
What was the last part of that question, sir?
Are we raising fees at the golf course and at the ice rink? And are we raising them on everyone? Are we raising them on non-residents? Or are we raising them on residents? Or are we raising them on everyone?
Recreation Director who proposed these fee increases is here. Jared, would you please take the mic and explain the need for these fees? As you know, Councilman, the ice rink and the golf course are self-liquidating utilities, and for a very, very long time, they were in a deficit situation. Last year, we came very, very close to self-liquidating for the first time, probably in more than 25 years. And there are some costs beyond our control, and these are small fees, but Jared can go into some detail.
We did last week, though, raise by a very substantial amount the salaries of the folks who worked at the ice rink, did we not? Just curious.
Go ahead, Jared, with your
Concerning the fees?
The fees.
Sure.
Well, not, we are raising fees, right? That was the question, it was pretty simple. Are we raising
Correct,
fees?
Correct. We're raising some, can you hear me better now? Okay. We're raising some fees at both, or proposing to raise some fees at both the golf course and ice rink. Your question was, are we raising fees for residents? So
Just in general,
Oh,
right? And then are we
yes.
raising them on residents?
largely for non-residents. So if we take a look, we can go through them one by
Largely, but on residents as well.
in a couple of categories. I can go through them, and I think it would be more clear if I did.
Please
I'd
do-
like
please
to.
do, Jared.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think it'll clarify it if I go through each one, because you're asking what we were charging and what we're proposing to charge. So I think it'll be more clear if I go through them, if you'll allow me.
Yes.
Thank you. So if we look at the golf course, we're looking to raise the weekend green fees and the weekend twilight fees. So when we raised fees 2 years ago, there is not a differential between resident and non-resident on the weekend, okay? So during the week, you can get a resident discount. We are not touching weekdays. We're only looking, as far as green fees are concerned, we're only looking at the weekend. So no impact on the resident in the way that we set up our fees currently. As far as the rink, we're looking to raise admission all for non-resident. And again, I can go through them if you want to know what we were charging before.
No, that's fine. So you're saying at the ice rink, you're not raising fees in
Right.
any category on
No,
residents?
there is a very minor category, walkers. If you're familiar with what a skate walker is, we're raising the fee on that, and that would be for everybody.
On-
But as far as
on residents.
admission, we're looking to raise on non-residents.
And then on the weekends, residents will see an increase if they go golfing on the weekends,
Residents and non-residents.
on the weekends.
Correct. But there was not a differential between resident and non-resident going back to 2020.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council, your pleasure, item 13.
Move number 13, please.
Second.
Motion is made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Quinlisk. Council Vice President Latano?
I'd like to just add something to this. The fees, whether it's the construction department, golf course, any one of our amenities we have, the pool, the goal is to have the fee to use it cover the expense to have it. We don't want the taxpayer subsidizing me to go ice skating or Council President Gagan to play golf. You want the fee to cover the expense so that it's not subsidized by the taxpayer, in which case we have to increase fees sometimes so that it doesn't fall back on the taxpayer. I vote yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Sokozy?
I'm going to vote yes, and this is probably all due to inflation. So I'm voting yes, unfortunately.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
No.
Councilman Roderick?
No, I don't support increasing fees on residents to golf. No.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Item 14 is an ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing various sections of Chapter 383, Parks of the Township Code to amend certain fees for the Winding River Park ice skating rink facilities. This is a first reading.
Is there any questions?
Anybody have any questions on this? Go ahead and make a motion, Jim.
Second.
I think that was,
Who made the motion?
Jim, was that a first?
Second. You want me to first?
Yeah.
Yes. Make a motion.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilman Quinlisk, seconded by Council Vice President Latano. Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President Latano?
And for the same reasons as the last one, I vote yes.
Councilman Sokozy?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
I don't support the increase, no.
Councilman Roderick?
At our last meeting, Councilman Latano voted to increase the salaries substantially.
Salary
25
ranges,
to
right?
30%
Okay.
at the ice rink. So, and now you want to increase the fee to cover the cost. I don't support those outrageous raises, and I don't support the increases on residents. Frankly, I don't even support them on non-residents. People have enough expenses whether they live here, Brick, or anywhere else, so I vote no.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Item 15 is a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, urging the New Jersey Department of Transportation to earmark funds from the state's share of federal funding under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act for the widening and improvement of routes 9 and 70 in Ocean County.
Anyone want to
Make a motion?
move the resolution?
Second.
Councilman Quinlisk
Make the
first.
motion. Yep.
Second. Sorry.
Motion was made by Councilman Quinlisk, seconded by Council Vice President Latano. Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council Vice President Latano?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
I would just like to point out that although we would all love to see Route 9 widened, I don't see how the state is ever going to come in here and widen 9 after they've built literally thousands of new apartment complexes or apartments up on Route 9. These developments all have a very large footprint. There's no room for an increase in size anymore. So while, yes, I'm going to support this and say, hey, we should widen 9, the reality is later on in the meeting, when we get to the consent agenda, we're going to be accepting performance guarantees on another development with 250 apartments up on Route 9. So I don't see why we're sending something to the state to say, hey, we should widen 9, when there's not going to be any room to widen 9. But yes, I'll vote yes.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Item 16 is a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, establishing a special advisory committee on small business.
Move the resolution?
Second?
Motion is made by Councilman Kopp, seconded by Councilman Quinlisk. Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Sekozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
I sent an email to Councilman Kopp last month about this. I think it was your proposal, correct?
That's correct.
So I'm very interested, and I have a small business myself, about 100 feet away, so I support it, yes.
Councilman Roderick?
My only question here is, are we going to have business people from the community on the committee? Because when I read the resolution, it's got Councilman Latano, Councilman Kopp, and Councilman Sekozy. But I thought the purpose of having a small business advisory committee was to get advice from small business, not to have the government advise small business. So I'm curious, because it doesn't say anywhere in this resolution, ordinance, or what have you, that we're going to have people from the business community on this committee. Do we intend on expanding the size and scope of this
Would you
committee?
like to answer that, Councilman Kopp?
Sure. President. Well, that's the purpose of the committee, Dan, is that we have a meeting coming up that I'm sure you're going to be hearing about, that's going to be oriented to having small businesses coming to Toms River Township into Town Hall here to voice their ideas and voice their concerns. I mean, this committee has been talked about. I know you're probably not supporting of this committee, but like I said, we on this council, and I know even Councilman Lamb is very supporting of this committee, and this is going to be a good thing for Toms River.
Can I be on it? Am I allowed to be on it, or?
Unfortunately, Councilman Lamb, we already have 3 councilmen on it.
Oh, okay.
But if one of the councilmen would like
They only
to,
want the children of business owners, not the actual business owners.
yeah.
No, but are we going to actually put business people on the committee?
Okay,
No.
thank you.
Are we intending, just my question is, are we
Yes,
intending on
Dan.
putting business people
Yes,
on the committee?
yes,
I'd like to be
Along
on
with
it.
the
I'd
four
like to be on
four
it.
of you? In addition to you folks?
yes, Dan.
Because it's not in the ordinance that we're passing tonight.
Right.
Number 4.
We have,
You have to read down a little bit.
Am I allowed to be on it, even though as a council person, but as just a business owner? No, it's a business
No,
owner.
you're not,
Can't.
it's illegal, you can't.
It's illegal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Have a legal opinion on it? Is it illegal to be on it?
Yeah,
Well,
I
you
think it would be inappropriate to have a quorum of the governing body
Got it.
as part of the
Oh,
committee.
to have a fourth person.
Correct.
While we're talking about committees, have committees been picked yet? Because I haven't been on any committees.
No.
Chair, has the committees been picked?
Yes,
yet.
Okay.
they were approved at the reorg meeting, beginning of January.
Okay. Is there a reason why I wasn't chosen for a committee, or was,
No, you're on a couple, I
Am I?
forget what they are offhand. but
okay, I'll talk to you after the meeting then, thanks.
Yes, we'll get you a list of that.
Thank you.
Councilman Roderick?
Yes.
Council Vice President Latano?
Thank you. So we're going to take the input of the small businesses in Toms River. We're hoping a lot of small businesses come out. I'll talk about it more in my council comments. But we would love as much participation with small businesses as we can possibly get, and then they'll be added to the committee if they want to stay on with us. I vote yes.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Move to the consent agenda. All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If discussion is desired on any item, that item will be considered separately.
Any member of the council have any item they would like discussed or voted on separately?
I'd like a roll call on I.
Chair, roll call on S, Resolution S, Sierra, please.
A roll call, that was?
Yes, roll call on S.
I would like a roll call on K, please.
Okay.
Roll call on G.
Okay. Does any member of the public have any item you wish to discuss separately? Okay, seeing none, I'll take a motion to accept the remainder of the consent agenda with the exceptions of items K as in King, G as in Golf, I as in Item, S as in Sam. G, I, S, and K as in King. Okay, take a motion to... No, actually, yeah. Councilman Lamb, I'm sorry, you said item S?
I must have an older agenda here. There was S was a resolution between the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office and,
That's item O.
sorry.
Currently,
O-
that's okay.
You're right, on our old agenda, it's S.
Okay.
Sorry. They're usually a draft copy while they're working on things. Okay, and someone in the crowd had something?
Yeah, this is the correct agenda.
Okay, seeing no other questions or comments, I'll take a motion to accept the remainder of the consent agenda with the exceptions of item K as in King,
So moved.
G as in Golf, I as in Item, O as in Ocean. Okay, was Councilman Roderick
Second.
making the motion?
Roderick, seconded by Council Vice President Latano. Councilman Roderick?
Yes.
Council Vice President Latano?
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Council President Gagan?
Yes. Okay. Okay, we'll do item K as in King first.
I just need a roll call.
A roll call vote?
Yes.
Okay. Council, your pleasure. I'll take a motion to move item K as in King.
Second?
Oh, this is juggled up.
Motion.
I see what you're saying, Councilman. I'm going to need a second here. What time of day was this changed?
Was what changed?
You noticed that as well, then?
What, your
Yeah.
agenda?
Yeah.
The draft agenda that the deputy works on based on different resolutions and paperwork coming in. It's just
Operating,
that.
I printed this an hour before the meeting.
No.
Yeah, right out of the file folder. So, hang on, I just
Yeah,
need a
it's
second.
clustered.
I just need a second.
I
I
update
just
the
need a
council's
second. You don't
file
have to put any,
as we update the agenda, so the live agenda is, I mean, it's updated live.
it's not your fault. I just need a second. Right, so I need a roll call on K. I is the same thing? Need a roll call, I guess, on I and K.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Council, your pleasure. Item K is in King, a roll call vote. Take the motion to move item K.
Move item K.
Second?
Quinlisk, Councilman Kopp,
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk,
Yes.
Councilman Sikosi,
Yes.
Councilman Lamb,
Yes.
Councilman Roderick,
Yes.
Council Vice President Latano,
I have to abstain, I have conflict.
Council President Gagan,
Yes. Okay. Next, we'll move item G is in Gulf. A roll call vote.
Move item G.
Second?
Motion is made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Latano?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Sokozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
We have to do- yeah.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
Yes.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Council President, can we get a re-roll call on G?
Item G?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
He wants to do it again.
Yeah, can we do that again?
Sure.
Justin.
There you go. I'm going to have to abstain from that one.
Okay.
Let the
Just
record
run
reflect
down.
that.
You can let the record reflect he's
Sure.
abstaining on that.
Okay. Next, item I is an item, roll call vote.
Move item I.
Second.
Motion is made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Quinlisk. Council Vice President Latano?
Yes.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Sokozy?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
No.
Council President Gagan?
Yes. Okay, and item O is an ocean, a roll call vote.
Move item O.
Second?
Motion is made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Latano?
Yes.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Sokozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
I'm going to abstain due to conflict.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
Yes.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
There are no reports. We'll move to the bills.
Move the bill list.
Second?
Motion is made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. Council Vice President Latano?
I have an abstention, 22-00678 and 22-00790. I have a conflict and yes to the balance.
Councilman Kopp?
I need to abstain from all bills payable to American Coring and Supply, along with all bills payable to Own a Little Associates. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Sokozy?
Yes.
Councilman Lamb?
Need to abstain from the magistrate salaries. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes.
Councilman Roderick?
I have no conflicts. I vote yes.
Council President Gagan?
Yes.
Move to elected officials' comments.
Councilman Lamb.
Thank you, Chair. Be brief tonight. I just want to let the taxpayers know of Ward 1. I have a few taxpayers here from Ward 1 tonight that you only have until May 1st to appeal your property tax reevaluation estimates. If you need any questions or any guidance with that, reach out to the tax assessor's office or feel free to contact me. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Quinlisk?
Yes. I'd like to, as a councilman here in Toms River, I didn't want the month to go by without giving formal recognition to the fact that it's Black History Month, and the people, in recognition to the people of color from our community and our nation. I'm sure most of you know of that Toms River, baseball is very popular in Toms River and throughout Ocean County. Toms River being baseball country, it's fitting to recognize that Jackie Robinson as the first African-American to break the color barrier in Major League Baseball with the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947. He was an incredible ball player, a man of strong character, and responded to anger and hatred and racism with nonviolence and dignity, and we're all better because of him. I further want to point out the second most noteworthy Major League Baseball player to break the color barrier, Lawrence Dobby of the American League. He got signed by the Cleveland Indians about 3 months after Jackie Robinson made it to the Dodgers, and he was one of two African-American players to win the first World Series as black players in 1948 with the Indians. And the reason why he's more noteworthy for us is because he played baseball here in New Jersey for Patterson High School before making it to the majors. Second, I want to point out the first African-American female doctor in the United States was Rebecca Lee Crumbler, born not too far from here in Delaware. She became a doctor in 1964 and faced extreme racism and discrimination for not only being black, but being a female. She practiced in Virginia and Boston, treating freed slaves and the very poor. In 1983, she even published a book called a book of medical discourse featuring advice on treating illness in infants, young children, and women of childbearing years. She's an incredible pioneer, and again, we're all better off for her contributions. And I just want to take this moment to reflect, as a member of this governing body, the acknowledgement of Black History Month. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Roderick?
First, I continue to field phone calls from senior citizens and residents on the waterfront about these outrageous tax hikes associated with the property tax revaluation. And it's come to my attention that people in Town Hall may be giving out incorrect information regarding how long a person must own a home to qualify for the senior tax freeze. Numerous residents have claimed they were told they needed to own their home since 2017, but that's not what the state's website says. The state's website says it's a 3-year period, and the date would be December of 2019. I'm calling on the mayor and township administrator to clarify and correct the dates and to ensure that the folks who are answering the phone at the tax office have the accurate information they need to advise our senior citizens and residents. Additionally, I would like to share 2 similar stories that I heard directly from seniors in our community. First, Ruth is homebound and receives just $1,400 a month in Social Security and $137 a month from her late husband's pension. Ruth's property tax is more than doubled, going up from $1,400 under the by $1,400 under the revaluation. Fortunately, Ruth will qualify for the senior freeze. Joanne is not as fortunate. She's also disabled and also on Social Security. She's owned her home for a period of about 5 years, so she owns it long enough to qualify for the freeze, but she hasn't lived in New Jersey for 10 years. Joanne's taxes will also double under the reval, costing her a large portion of her annual Social Security income. I'm calling on Assemblyman McGuckin and Assemblyman Catalano to introduce legislation that would reduce the 10-year residency requirement for the senior tax freeze. Seniors often move with their children, and if home ownership, the requirement is 3 years, the residency requirement should be 3 years as well. Hopefully our District 10 legislators will work to rectify this economic injustice. I have nothing further for this evening.
Thank you. Councilman Lozano?
Thank you, Council President. Just to touch upon the reval, it is not a tax hike. I know the word gets thrown around a lot. What they do is they divvy up the way, who pays the taxes. So they change your assessments, and they divide the same amount of revenue that was coming in based on the value of your home. So people's houses that went up in value, sometimes they even went down in taxes. It happened very often. So the town is not raising taxes here, it's just a reevaluation. Back to what I really wanted to talk about tonight was the Small Business Committee, Councilman Kopp starting. We are having a meeting on March 15th at 6 p.m. right here in Town Hall. We are asking businesses how the township can help the business, how we can stimulate growth, how we can bring new businesses in, create jobs, all of that. We want to get the input from the business owners. We want to hear from owners, entrepreneurs, real estate brokers who frequently show properties to businesses. Anyone that has insight of how the township could do a better job. As a committee member, we often are pitched ideas on how the township can improve. We intend for this engagement with business owners to lead to policies and initiatives that encourage investment and job creation here in Toms River. Just for an example, BRIC recently reinstituted a program that waives construction fees for vacant storefronts that are converted into new businesses. These are just ideas that, we're interested in hearing from the residents of things like that the township can do to try to help. And also, there's an Irish festival coming up in downtown Toms River. I believe it's February 2nd in the same area where March 2nd, thank you. Yes. Or was it March 2nd or March 5th?
March 5th.
March 5th, right?
Saturday,
March 5th. March 5th. And so it's going to be in the same section that Downtown Night Out is, excuse me. And I hope to see you guys there. And that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Kopp.
Thank you, Council President. Tonight, with the support of Mayor Hill, we have officially formed the Small Business Advisory Committee for Toms River. I'm honored to be the chairman of this committee, and we'll be working hand in hand with organizations like the Greater Toms River Chamber of Commerce to better Toms River. We're excited to announce our first meeting, which is March 15th at 6 p.m. at Town Hall. This is the meeting that we're going to form our action plan. As I said in the past, our small businesses were hit hard during the COVID-19 government shutdowns, and it's time to show the businesses that we have their back. This committee will establish small business-oriented programs for the business owners in our town to help promote local and small business growth. All business owners, please reach out to myself or Art Gallagher in the mayor's office if you'd like to be on this committee. I've had multiple business owners already reach out to me, and I'll be reaching out to you individually during this week with more information. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Sikosi.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. First, I want to give a shout out to my fellow Republican, John, back there in the audience. He was a perfect gentleman. I also wanted to thank him for his support. I think we're going to have the Rocky Road in the next coming years here in New Jersey, our country, and Toms River. And I know our councilmen are worried, and our mayor are worried about property taxes and keeping costs down. Now we have a lot of things against us, from inflation, fuel prices, supplies, and so we're going to get through it, and we're going to do the right thing. I mentioned 2 weeks ago that there was 565 towns in New Jersey, and Toms River was one being the most expensive and 565 being the cheapest in property taxes. And Toms River was at 429. So there's about 75% of all the towns in New Jersey pay more in property taxes than we do. I compliment two young councilmen to my right here for starting this committee for small business, because New Jersey lost over 1/3 of small businesses that are not coming back. In New Jersey, they're done, they're gone, and we can see it in our empty storefronts. So we got to get them back. We got to put our heads together, because this is the kind of ratables that we want for our town and for our residents. And another thing is, I'm trying to do a lot of research, because this is my 4th meeting. I'm getting to know everybody. New Jersey is second in the country for foreclosures, for home foreclosures. That's terrible. But it's happening here in Toms River, but not at the extent that the rest of the state. And I just want to read this excerpt from the New Jersey Planner that we get monthly on the planning board. And this was published in November 2021. And it's done by professionals. They're not related to any party, but they're saying how much it's going to get tough. Another hurdle on the horizon is property tax delinquency and foreclosures. As the moratorium concludes by the summer of 2022, all New Jersey homeowners will exit the moratorium forbearance. Red flags exist in New Jersey as roughly double the number of units in foreclosure as compared
Thank you. Mayor Hill.
Thank you, Council President. On Friday, March 4th, between 9 and 12, we'll be holding a town hall meeting for the Holiday City residents at our Toms River Senior Center at 653 Garfield Avenue. Residents of Holiday City should have received a postcard inviting them to the meeting. We will be holding similar meetings in other senior communities in Toms River. Purpose of the town hall meeting is to give the residents information about the mandated property reassessment reevaluation, as there's been a great deal of misinformation about the process given to residents of Holiday City and other areas. At this meeting, the tax assessor, tax collector, director of human services, and our staffs will discuss the senior freeze, which is known as the PTR, or Property Tax Reimbursement Program, and other tax relief available to seniors, the disabled, and veterans, which should help stabilize or reduce their taxes. We'll also assist residents who want to file appeals with the Ocean County Board of Taxation and discuss the process. We'll provide transportation for those who need it. Refreshments are available. We encourage residents to RSVP so we can schedule sufficient time to answer questions and to assist the residents. Last week, I sent a letter followed up by a phone call to the NJDOT Commissioner Diane Gutierrez-Scicchetti, asking her to dedicate some of the $12.3 billion that New Jersey is receiving from the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act to the widening of Route 9 in Toms River and Lakewood and the widening of Route 70 in Burlington and Ocean counties. I want to thank the council for passing the resolution tonight, support the effort. Both towns have asked for increased setbacks on the road so that the property can be condemned and we can enlarge it. Route 9 is a heavily traveled, congested one-lane highway south of Monmouth County through Lakewood and Toms River. According to the 2020 census, Toms River has 95,000 residents. Lakewood has over 135,000, making them the two of the most populous cities in the state. Route 9, although it's the main north-south state artery for both municipalities, remains the same one-lane highway. It's been over 70 years. The 4 lanes of Route 9 should be extended from the Monmouth County, Ocean County border in Howell and Lakewood through Lakewood into Toms River to eliminate congestion. Route 70 extends 60 miles from Camden County to Monmouth County, and it's the only east-west road that crosses the state north of the Atlantic City Expressway and south of Interstate 195. Again, in Burlington and Ocean counties, Route 70 is a one-lane highway through the Pine Barrens and has remained unchanged for over 70 years. By widening Route 70 in both counties in 2 directions, into 2 lanes in each direction, residents and businesses would enjoy the increased opportunities for commerce and tourism. In addition, the project will enhance access to the Philadelphia metropolitan area for the residents. Commissioner indicated that we're making some improvements to Route 9, but I get the sense it wouldn't be the scope of the improvements that we're calling for. The states rejected widening Route 9 because of the cost, an estimated $550 million, because they didn't have the money. They have a plan, they now have the money. We have very few mass transportation options in this area and must rely on automobiles to travel to and from work. Garden State Parkway is the only viable commuting route for our residents, and they've been increasing tolls. In addition, the residents of Toms River and Ocean County are among the highest toll payers on the Garden State Parkway by zip code. I'll continue to advocate for the widening of these roads and ask our Ocean County commissioners and our legislators and neighboring towns to join the effort. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have no further comments at this point. I'll now open the floor to public comments. Any member of the public wish to be heard? Yes, sir. Just come on up to the mic, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name's Rich Bryn, 216 Minturn Road. First, I want to make a correction from the minutes from the last meeting. My name is spelled B-R-I-H-N. It had a Y in there. And my topic is about the VCS zones. It was not about the reevaluation. It said I was up here about the reevaluation, which we discussed, but it's more about the VCS zones. So I don't have all my placards today, but you will have a chance to see them again March 15th, although you gentlemen will be busy. I'll be on a radio show and a podcast, and that'll be the backdrop for it. I have worked with everybody. Lou, you called me when you said you would. I know, Roderick, you took my number, never called me. Bob Shea said he was going to get in touch with me, never heard from him. Councilman Lamb actually came to my house on Saturday to see the problem with why our land, our dirt, is being charged so much more than the one next to us. It's ridiculous. And nobody seems to care about common sense when you're being charged. How can this be $170,000 and this be $70,000? The same view. It makes no sense. But thank you for coming out and at least seeing what we're talking about. Did we build a beautiful home? Absolutely. Did we expect our taxes to go up? Absolutely. But the view isn't from the ground. They're charging us for the dirt. The value of the house, we're not arguing. But the dirt, why are we in a VCS zone that charges us 34 cents per square foot when the corner lot, 12,000 square foot, pays 18 cents a square foot? She's been charged thousands of dollars a year more than she should, and nobody gives a crap. Everybody says, go get a lawyer. Well, we're getting a lawyer. But just so you know, we're attacking the whole VCS process. We're attacking all the arbitrary way that these zones are designated and doled out, because it makes no sense. There's people with the exact same view as me that pay $70,000 on their dirt, and we pay $160,000. It makes no sense. And everybody says, well, it's too late, or get a lawyer. Well, we're gonna get a lawyer, and we're gonna get a radio show. Anybody who wants to call in, here it is.
You can hand that to the clerk.
You can take a picture of it if you want to call in. It's right here. Anybody, any council members, if you're interested in calling in and speaking about it, you can. I don't expect you to. You don't make phone calls. You say you're gonna, but you don't. But thank you anyway. But anybody else who's interested, we're right here. Lou, thank you for the call, and I understand the laws that are laws, but that doesn't help us. That doesn't help the fact that she was overcharged thousands of dollars and everybody says, oh, well, we can't do anything. Well, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. And this is about the VCS zones. That means value control sectors is what it stands for. It's not about the appraisal. Now, talking about the appraisals, we have a May 1st deadline for filing appeals. I still don't have the appraisal back from PPA that I filed an appeal with them, as the process says. One of the things that we need to truly see if our taxes are fair is what everybody else's taxes are also, right? Did our neighbors go up as much as ours? Did they not? Because right now we're suffering a big injustice with the difference. So when are the websites gonna have the new taxes on it? Or is a realtor going to be able to go and see that it has what the taxes are as opposed to what it used to be? How close to the deadline is that going to be? Because right now it sounds like we have plenty of time, but do we really? Are we going to have the information we need to formulate a case based on the information that's not there yet? So I would like to recommend that you all consider that deadline versus all the information being disseminated to the public. Because if we don't get it until a week before March 1st, then what? Right? That's not fair. That's not fair. If we're going to roll this out and do it right, I'm following the process. We're working with PPA, but there's a possibility that people are going to get screwed because they don't have the information they need, right? And then another thought, separate, but you mentioned fuel consumption and that, and just real quick, trucks idling, and that's fuel's going up. We don't need to leave so many trucks idling around. I worked at Mercer County DOT. I get it. I understand. Maybe you put the word out. You say something.
Can I answer that?
Yes, Mr. Ambrose.
I'm not sure about what specifically you're talking about, but there are often times where you'll see a truck stopped and they're going through the regen cycle, which burns off the particulates. So it's something that has to happen. All right. And again, I don't know what particular case you're talking about, but a lot of the township trucks, the diesels, they have to do a regen cycle.
Well, I had an articulated license before they came out with CDLs. I was a mechanic in the Army National Guard, wheeled and track vehicle mechanics. I understand about trucks. And when they're sitting there for an hour, they don't need to be, right? So please, with all due respect, there's a lot of wasted fuel there, and you can just tell them, hey,
I would ask you, the next time you see somebody doing that, give me a call and give me the license plate and truck number, we'll take care of it.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very-
Can I briefly, also I had,
We have to stick to the 5-minute limit. Once everybody's done, we'll allow you to come up again.
okay, because I had 5 questions regarding the VCS that
Okay.
I'm hoping somebody can
Your
answer.
time.
Thank you.
We'll give you another chance in a moment. Yes, ma'am. Okay, just.
Last week, I
if
stood
you would
up
just
here.
State your name and address for the
Right.
record, please.
I said it last week, and it wasn't in the minutes. Michelle Donan, 2 L's, Donan, 216 Minturn Road. Now, I heard a lot about Route 9 and skating rinks. But what really is where do property taxes go? The bulk of it.
Schools.
Schools. Thank you. As a former educator, it's very depressing for me to move to a town whose school is ranked so pathetically. And then my taxes got raised, almost tripled in 1 year. I have raised my children. I have sent them to school, to a much better district. I was born in Trenton, New Jersey. I don't know if you realize that. And I came here believing in this Republican town, because Lower Makefield Township, Pennsylvania, has been very Democrat, and that's where I was born and raised. I chose this town because of Republicans. I'm not seeing a lot of Republican behavior. I never hear education mentioned when it comes to property taxes and how Toms River is ranked. You're like around 6,000 in this nationally. I'm really not sure what else I have to say, but at least this time I'd like to be in the minutes. I wasn't there last time.
Thank you. I disagree. I think we have a very good school system. But who else from the public would like to be heard? Mr. Mullen?
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to,
Name and address.
oh, sorry, Dana Tormolen, 105 Messenger Street. I just wanted to kind of piggyback what you were saying. As part of the Education Foundation, I just wanted to make everybody aware that today we made a $10,000 donation to the music department in our schools raised by the foundation. We will also be having
Nice
a
job.
race. Okay? We will also be having a race in June to keep fundraising for the Education Foundation so that we can continue to provide what we are losing based on the fact that our district is being sucked dry, another $8 million, and that the $8 million that we received is it's basically a wash right now for us. The other thing I want to say is that last week we hit 100 weeks in our food distribution. So with Terrence Turnbach and his whole crew, the mayor, we hit 100 weeks of food distribution. The line was probably longer last week than it was 50 weeks ago. But we are still there. And whenever someone wants to take a ride out and help out, we're always there. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Davis.
Frank Davis, 20 Westridge, Toms River, New Jersey. As a resident that is raising their family here, I've put 4 kids through our schools. I've brought in 5 foster kids, adopted 3 of them, and I enjoy golf. So I would like to thank the council president and most of the council. This year I pay more for gases. I pay more for my groceries. My kids pay more when they go to the movies. I expect to pay more when I go ice skating or playing golf. So I'd like to thank you for being responsible with the taxpayers' money and putting it on people who want extracurricular activities to pay for them and not to put the expenses on the taxpayers.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Ambrosi, you have your...
Hello, everyone. Many of you I haven't seen since the new year. Am I on? Oh, so my name is Geraldine Ambrosio. My address is 938 Millstone Court in Toms River. I want to say Happy New Year to those of you I haven't seen. First off, regarding the committee for the business district and the business community in town, I think that's a wonderful idea. I'm really, really grateful for you for doing that, and I was going to ask when, if it was going to be announced or advertised, but since you gave out the date, I will make sure to be there, because as a business owner, I'm very excited about being involved with that. I know you guys will do a great job. And the other question I had, and this is because I am a past commissioner on the tax board, and I have a lot of, just a lot of information, a lot of knowledge about the tax burden in the state of New Jersey. Now, this is not something that is specific unto Ocean County or to our town. It's the state of New Jersey. It's a very difficult burden. But what I have noticed over the past, I don't know, decade, and specifically after the pandemic, is that as Ocean County builds nicer and nicer retirement communities, we do have a greater and greater influx of people, not just from the northern parts of our state that are coming down and retiring here, but they are coming from other areas, from New York or from Pennsylvania. So Mr. Roderick had mentioned something, and my question would be to our assemblyman, is there any consideration for a reduction in that? Because we field a lot of phone calls on the 10-year period. I think it's like I think it was 2010, you had to live here in order to be able to qualify the freeze. Is that anything that the state is speaking about or talking about? Is there any chance that that will change and be lessened? And is there any chance that you would work on legislation to do that?
Well, as the council president, I'm sure this entire council would support a resolution should the Assembly and Senate go down that path. Okay. I know in the past I've heard some towns give total tax exemption to people that have lived in town, owned a home in town for 50 years, you know, that they've done this. I don't know how that would extrapolate in this particular town and in Ocean County with our seniors, but, you know, I think we'd all be agree with that.
You're going to let the assemblyman answer?
Well, he's here as the
sometimes he gets
council.
political up here. Assemblyman, would you support
So then,
doing that?
so then in your
I'll be glad to
capacity,
answer
that's
Ms. Ambrosio's
something.
question. Ms.
that's
Ambrosio, I'll be
separate.
glad to meet with you. We'll set up an appointment at our legislative office. Be glad to talk about it. You
Excellent.
do have a great background in that, and I think it's something we could talk about and discuss.
Excellent, thank you very
You're
much.
very welcome.
And very quickly, I just want to say, not to get too into it, but some people are very concerned about their taxes, and they're coming up here, and they are concerned about that May 1st date. You may want to just advise them that that form has to be in, but they don't necessarily have to have their information in on that date. They can always put on their form that that information is to follow, and they can wait until their actual court date is assigned, so you can give them that as an opportunity to have the time, the extra time, and let them know those are state mandated dates. That's not up to us to make that decision. All right, thank you guys very much.
Thank you. That's with the intent of Mayor Hill and getting everybody to basically do a traveling road show to all the senior communities, well, except Holiday City, we're not allowed in. So that's why it's being held at the senior center. Okay. But, and it's open to anybody. You don't have to be a senior. If you have an issue with your taxes, on the waterfront, you know, please come. But okay. Thank you.
There.
Any other member of the public wish to be heard? Yes, Ms. Singer.
Good evening, everybody. Lori Singer at 113 Garfield Avenue. I've been coming before council, and I came here last week, I presented the Toms River Cannabis Committee's recommendations for moving forward with medical marijuana accessibility for Toms River residents in the surrounding towns. And I sent emails out to everyone on the council. Councilman Latano was kind enough to email me back. So I'd like to know what the next step is your email said something about the Land Use Committee, and I understand that that's not a public committee meeting that the people from the public can go through. If you would explain that a little further.
And real quick, sometimes when you email the entire council, sometimes the reason why we don't respond is because an email could be considered a quorum of the governing body, and we're conducting
I follow-
business. So
okay. That makes
that would
sense.
be why, and certainly you feel free to come and ask these
All
questions.
right, good to know in the future. Thanks.
Your ears must have been ringing because we were talking about this just earlier today, and you specifically.
Here I
So,
am.
no
Good,
problem.
thank you,
Not a
thank you.
problem.
So your email specifically mentioned medical marijuana, which I had said that we did not vote on medical marijuana. We voted specifically on the governor's bill and then the sunshine clause that we put in on the governor's bill.
Right.
I said if we wanted to discuss medical marijuana, it would have to go to the land use committee and have their recommendation move forward. But that's not what we voted on. So I have not voted on that. I think they did prior to me being here. Councilman Roderick might remember.
A
I'm
couple
not
of
sure.
years ago, I believe there was a medical.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I understand what you guys voted on, and I'm wondering if that is something that could be the medical marijuana policy be on the next Land Use Committee's agenda, and who's on the Land Use Committee, and I believe they're meeting next week. I believe I was
Yeah,
told it was like the third
Yeah,
Tuesday
they
of
meet.
the month, or
Yeah,
what's-
once a month they meet. I mean, myself personally, I would like to see something maybe by the VA clinic.
Yes.
that would be-
I'm in agreement with
But I don't know if, with the land use laws and the zoning, as you know, it's
Right.
very complex, and, with the partnership there, what's allowed and what isn't.
Right,
But-
because I understand, I mean, with the political climate of Toms River right now, with all the property taxes being reassessed at a very high point in the real estate market, and with all the FEMA zone maps, I think this is a great time for council to move forward with something that's accessible for its residents, its constituents, and some of the surrounding towns. I would really like to see policy move forward. So if that's something that could be on the Land Use Committee's meeting next week, the agenda, you guys can discuss and look at the policy, the recommendations from the Cannabis Committee. I'd like to really see some progress made with that.
Very good. Thank you for your time. Do you have
Okay.
any-
I will email you later in the week and let you know how that goes.
All right, great.
Okay?
Thank you,
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Ms. Singer.
Does any other member of the public wish to be heard? Mr. Anderson?
Art Anderson, 12 Park Street. I know there was a lot of changes in the clerks, but every week I go on the Toms River website, and under clerks, I see the first readings after approved. I get to see them before they go to the final, and there was nothing on there. I was wondering if we're not going to do that no more, or was it just maybe a missed error?
No, it will be published.
Okay.
We've had some vacancies, some people out sick, injured with the ice storm. That office has been, unfortunately decimated, if I can.
I just want to
say
make sure that
so.
we don't lose it in the swap.
No problem.
And then the other thing is, Josh, I know it's a great idea with the Committee on Small Business, but I know we have a Toms River bid. Did we invite anybody from the Toms River bid?
Correct. They're going to be involved.
They're all, okay, thank you. And then there's one other question I have on the bills. For an engineering department, and engineers, it was $5,800 for the Boy Scout site Phase 1. Do we plan on building something on that site?
No, Mr. Trinkelli?
I can answer that. That was just part of the acquisition process. We made sure that there were no environmental issues before we purchased it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to be heard? Yes. Good
Lisa Contessa, Portobello Road, Toms River. I'm on the school board in Toms River, as is Ashley Lamb sitting next to me over there. And I would like to, I've heard a couple of different reasons, and I would just like to hear straight from you. What was the reason behind changing these council meetings from Tuesdays to Wednesdays? Because the school board meetings are the second and third Wednesday of every month, which means taxpayers can't come to both meetings if they're held on the same night. So I'm wondering what the reasoning was for changing the meetings.
Well, we had polled when the new council was elected. I know there were some other conflicts with different meetings. I am aware the school board meetings are second and third Wednesday, and quite frankly, with Councilman Roderick constantly texting from the dais and interfering with school board elections, as we can agree or disagree.
Do you have proof of that?
Do I approve of that?
Do you have proof of that?
All you
How
have to do
could
is
you
go to
say
social
that?
media. So that is why the
You want
meetings were changed.
social media as your
So-
proof that Councilman Roderick is texting who?
I wouldn't pay Mr. Gagan any mind. He says outrageous things on a regular basis.
Yeah.
It
So,
was on social media,
Actually, I think
therefore
he
it
had
must
it.
be true. I take personal offense to that, because I know that you're referring to myself.
the intent
and I
was, so
don't
there was
know
no
how-
interference in the school board that we heard loud and clear from residents.
There was
Tried
no
to-
interference in the school board.
I was advised we move the meetings for Assemblyman McGuckin so he can attend. And that was what was approached to me by the clerk's office. And I disagreed with it and said, in fact, I called Councilman Sikosi. David, I called you and said, I had hoped we could work out something for that conflict day, and conflict day only, but we never worked it out, so it is what it is.
Well, that's disappointing. Thank you.
Yeah, and
Just to
the
follow
meetings
up on
have not always been on Tuesday either.
Councilman Lamb, I said, I'm good for any day, and I left it at that.
So it's for two reasons, because because social media told you that
No,
Councilman
you're-
Roderick is texting school board
No,
members.
You must be friends with Councilman Roderick and twisting words, so.
I'm not, that's what you just said.
Okay. Ms. Ambrosio, you're out of line, okay? If this were one of your meetings, you wouldn't tolerate it either. So, okay. Are there any other questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Any other member of the public wish to be heard? Sir, you in the back. You've been patient.
Michael Valdatara, 35 West Rutherford Lane.
You could lift, that thing lifts,
Yeah,
or
you
you
can
can
take it
actually
from the
pull
mic.
it out if you want.
That way you don't have to, it'll slide out. No, it'll slide out, the mic.
I just had a question on the substantial damage process and if we were getting any more clarity on that. I know at the last meeting they said letters were going out tonight.
Kelly?
That was your idea. It was a good idea.
Yes, my office is going to be sending out a notification to all of the approximately 700 residents that are still in the SD declaration stage. We have been working to prepare a flow chart, basically a presentation to any resident. And just, we actually done one about 7 years ago. I found that, dusted that off, updated it, and we're going to be sending that out information soon. As you know, I believe it's 20 days from the final reading, which was the last council meeting we had, so I believe that's about still another week before it goes into effect, but by that time, we should have everything up on the website.
Okay. Does that answer your question, sir?
We've been in contact several times via email, and I've said to you, as soon as we have the information on the website, we'll be sending out a card. So again, I know you keep emailing me questions, but once it's out, we will share it with you. I don't have it prepared yet, okay?
All I'm saying is the minutes last meeting, the letters were going out tonight.
If you don't talk into the mic, the public
Yeah,
misses
the
everything.
minutes last meeting, I believe, we said letters were going out tonight. Like, I went back and listened to it just to confirm. I wasn't hearing things. And then I got my report from the office, and it lists other homeowners' names on the report, and then numbers that don't add up. So I don't know what's the best mechanism for just getting more clarity on that. I've tried to call the engineering office. I've gone in and haven't gotten an answer. So I could grab you after the meeting.
I've emailed you about 7 times. As I explained to you, the best point is when the appeal process is open, you can present all that information to the appeal person.
I don't know what I'm appealing. I got a report with different homeowners' names on it and numbers. Like,
Well, again, I'm trying to be as clear as I can. Bring that up when you file your appeal. I don't know how else to explain it.
I don't know what to do. I got a report that has different homeowners and numbers on it.
It sounds like you're stuck on step 1, right? You're not sure what to do right now?
Sure.
Mr. Taylor, what should he be doing next step?
Once we have the information on the website of all the steps and the forms that he can fill out, he can schedule an appointment with the reviewer and present any, what he views as discrepancies, which some might argue might be a typo, and to the appealing agent. But
And when do you expect those items to be on?
probably within the next week.
Within the next week, you'll have the stuff on the website.
So I have to appeal a typo? Like, that's what, like, how does that make sense?
The process hasn't started.
Well, okay. You have Mr. Chinkalian's number, you can, Believe you've been in constant communication and
The
getting
date,
nowhere?
address, everything is accurate on the report. I believe there was one field that may have transferred over from an Excel spreadsheet, but the report that he was provided is the damage report provided to us from FEMA for that property.
Okay. So we got that information from FEMA? Well, okay. Yeah. Does any other member of the public wish to be heard? Sir?
Good evening, Richard Chulo, 215 Grant Avenue in Seaside Heights. I have to start by saying, Greg, I haven't seen you at the dais in 20 years. It goes back that many years that I've been attending meetings here in Toms River, and it's kind of like that old Yogi Berra saying deja vu all over again, but it's great to see you up there. I come here tonight on not the best note. I want to draw to your attention that earlier today I served Toms River Township with bear with me 1 second, please. A notice of tort claim. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with what that is, it's basically me making you aware that there is a very strong likelihood that there is a lawsuit going to be filed on my behalf against the township. I make that decision reluctantly. I make that decision from stemming from an incident that occurred in August of 2021. Most of you who are at the dais now are familiar with that incident. What you may not be aware of is that there is currently a lawsuit pending in Superior Court that I have filed against Mr. Roderick. I'm going to direct a question to Mr. McGuckin, asking if you're aware of that.
Ask the Council President, are you aware of that, sir?
I'm aware that a lawsuit was filed, yes.
Okay.
I learned that over the summer of this past year, I believe.
So you've received no formal notification from Mr. Roderick advising that he's being sued in his official capacity as a Toms River councilman?
No.
No, we have not.
Okay. You wouldn't care to offer an opinion as to whether or not it's appropriate that he should have advised the council and the township and the law department?
That would be, my client would have to ask me for that opinion.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
My client would have to ask me for that opinion.
Okay. One of the other reasons why I felt it was necessary to file the tort claim stems from Mr. Lamb now being seated on the council. There is a strong likelihood that Toms River Township is going to be a defendant in this lawsuit, and as such, Mr. Lamb currently represents Mr. Roderick in the litigation between he and I. Again, I'm going to ask you to offer an opinion as to whether or not you believe that it's appropriate that a sitting Toms River councilman represent another sitting Toms River councilman in a litigation involving Toms River Township. Is it appropriate? Is it ethical?
Again, all questions have to come to the chair, but I don't believe we can offer any opinion.
I'd have to have more information before I could give any kind of an opinion, and again, the client would have to ask me for that opinion.
And the client being the council?
The
Township,
council.
yes.
Okay. So, again, I'm going to go back to my original point, which is I've been attending these meetings for a lot of years, close to 20. And I do that because there's been times where I've lived in Toms River. There's times that I don't live in Toms River. In the next few weeks, I'm moving back into Toms River. I truly, legitimately love this town. I do. I see so many things going on. I see younger members of the council coming up with innovative ideas to support small business. I'm a small business owner. I'm grateful to hear that others are here supporting it. It broke my heart to serve the township today. It was not something that I wanted to do, but I do believe it was something that was necessary. Finally, I don't know Mrs. Ambrosio, but she did, I think, or Ms. Contessa asked for proof, and she was barking at you, Mr. Gagan, regarding interference with school board campaigns and school board business. I would remind Mrs. Contessa that she accepted $15,000 from 2 political action committees that were funded exclusively by Frank Sadeghi, who's a political operative, and of that $15,000, $5,000 was paid directly to Mr. Roderick's political campaign consulting company. I believe that represents proof. Thank you.
Does any other member of the public wish to be heard? Any other member? Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you for the additional time. Rich Bryn, 216 Minturn Road. So I'm trying to get information on the VCS. I have some questions on it. I tried to fill out the Oprah form. I did fill it out, and there's actually a pending request. But on the Toms River website, it says I can use one word for a document. It's not allowing me to, I tried to elaborate, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what I get out of it. But what I'm trying to, the questions I have, and anybody who can answer, I would appreciate it, is when did the VCS start? When was 216 Minturn Road put in VCS 1402? Who and how was it decided that 216 Minturn Road belonged in the 1402 when the rest of Minturn Road is 1403? How do we get a list of how many VCS zones there are? And what are the values of each sector? So I don't know if I'll get the pinpoints on 216 Minturn Road, but there has to be how many different zones there are, because if you remember the map, it was crazy. I can't count that map. Zooming in on my computer, how many different zones there are. So hopefully that information is readily available. I mean, somebody has to have it. I see Bill Lard is
And you
not-
filed the Oprah request for that?
I did file an Oprah request.
May take a
but-
little bit of time to gather that info for you.
Yeah, it's usually 7 business days, but I understand if more time's needed. But what I'm more concerned about is the way the form is structured on the website, where it says to use one word. That's what it says. If you go on the website, on Toms River website for Oprah requests, it says what you're trying to use one word, what you're looking for. Like, that's crazy. How do I put all this in one word? That's what it says. I'm not making it up.
I filed, prior to me sitting here, I've also filed Oprah requests and was able to list, as you said, several items, just bullet pointed through.
Right, so I tried to elaborate, and we'll see what happens. There was room for me to put a few sentences in there, but it seemed like I wasn't following the rules, so I don't know if I'm gonna get kicked out.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I just submit the Oprah request by paper to the custodian of records, who, Chair, is the clerk, is that correct? Custodian of
clerk,
records,
yes.
right? Yeah, so I would just submit to the clerk's office paper form. That way you know it's in, have them stamp one copy, you get a copy, that sort of thing.
I actually went to the clerk's office today, and they said that they're only doing it online, and gave me directions to do it online. That was prior to receiving other information about how to do it. But I went to the clerk's office today to find out how to do it, to get, I thought I was picking up an Oprah form. And instead, they gave me instructions on how to do it and said I can only do it online. And then online, this is what, I swear, this is what happened today. So if that's wrong, then you tell me.
Okay. Mr. Cruglio, you can.
Yeah, I wasn't in the office today, I guess, when you came in. I don't believe we spoke today. On the website, it does say you can use one word. A lot of people do get lengthy, and it's easier just to use one word. You don't have to use one word. If the directions are unclear, I'll be happy to take a look at it and fix it. And I'd like to speak to you after this and go over everything with you.
Okay, yeah, I sent it in, so we'll see what happens, but I'll talk to anybody about this to try to get this information.
Okay.
Thank you for the additional time. I
Not a
appreciate
problem,
it.
sir. Thanks for giving everybody else a chance. Does any other member of the public wish to be heard? Go ahead. The buzzer didn't go off, so.
Michelle, Toms River schools they show on reading 53% proficiency in reading, less than that in math, and a 90-some% graduation rate. That's on the website.
93% graduation rate with 53% proficiency in reading
So-
and lower in math.
Well,
So that's what she's talking about. This is on we didn't make this up. This information is on the website. So do with it what you may, but that's where we're getting our information. She didn't just arbitrarily say Toms River schools are
well,
bad.
certainly you can go to the school board meetings on the second and third Wednesday, although we may disagree.
Then I'll miss-
Although we may disagree on things, I think we can agree that I think we have a darn good school system.
Well-
And with them recently selecting a superintendent, I believe it's only going to get better.
Then maybe they have bad information on the website. Maybe the rest of the world doesn't know that because of what's being put out there on a website. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know what's
we're-
on their website.
And it looked like a legitimate one. It wasn't just anything. We didn't get it on
Fake-
Facebook.
Fake websites out there, sure. Okay. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Ann Hamill, PASPA, live in Toms River, Stepping Stone Court. I just wanted to thank the council for the business committee. Excellent idea. Our small businesses have really suffered in the last 2 years, and fantastic idea. I'd also like to thank the mayor for getting out there to the seniors for the information to help them with the tax appeal. Lastly, I grew up in Toms River. I love Toms River. We have an excellent school system. I'm a lawyer. Our kids have been through a lot the last couple years with COVID. Masks has been really hard on them, but our teachers have been doing their best. We have fabulous teachers, and I just want to thank our teachers and staff, and hopefully everything will be more positive moving forward with less issues with COVID. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to be heard?
Seeing none, I motion to close public comment.
Second. Motion to close public comment was made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. All in favor?
Aye. And there is no need for executive session, so we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second. I motioned.
Motion was made by Council Vice President Latano, seconded by Councilman Kopp. To close the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.